Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday. We are live and we are back fresh off the show floor. Rich, how are
What's
you?
up?
Hello. I can hear you loud and clear, which means that it is time to kick off this show. How are you feeling? Are you rested? You look relaxed.
Yeah, I played a bunch of pickleball today, so
Oh, so you're
relaxed,
great.
ran around like Anne-Marie and played some pickleball, and I don't know, had a good day. So
Amazing, amazing. Well, before we get started, I just want to say, wow.
yeah,
I think I speak for everybody in saying like completely blown away. This show is going to be a lot of exciting things, and we're going to be talking a lot about East Coast Haunters. But Rich, what's your word? How are you feeling?
I mean, honestly, you just stole mine. I don't know what else to say, but wow. I mean, like it's. I've never been hugged by so many people telling me they love me, and I'm a pretty like laid back, stay out of the limelight type of guy, and like there were quite a few people, especially exhibitors, coming up to me and just hugging me that I don't even know and just saying this was unbelievable. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it was really cool, and when we're extremely blessed and fortunate to have been able to pull off a show like this, and it wasn't just us. There were quite a few people that really helped with this, and like special shout out to everybody who was in that pit. I mean, every one of those haunts just really brought their A game. They did everything they could to make this show what it was and what it will be. So we just got to final touches on it, and got to put everything together. But a lot of ideas from those guys. I don't even know how to thank them. It was amazing what happened.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So okay, one thing I'm just gonna say because I am all of a sudden having a little trouble hearing you. So just so you know,
Yep.
but congratulations on your new computer because that's
Yep.
awesome. As you learn it and navigate it more, I know I run into the same problem. So before we get started, a couple show notes. Chris will be joining us. There's going to be a ton going on during this show, so make sure that you stay tuned all the way to the end. We've got a lot happening in a short amount of time. For those that don't know, next week's show is when we're going to officially kick off our road to MHC. So this show is going to be all about a recap from East Coast Haunters.
Yeah.
So, Rich, on that note, do you have dates for next year?
For this
East
show,
Coast. Yep.
yeah, it's the same date pattern. Like I didn't actually bring them with me, but I can tell you, the tours start on the 24th and the 25th, so the show is probably 26th and 27th based on that.
Yep.
So yeah, so it'll be those 4 days, very close to the dates that we had now. We're definitely going to be in the same center. I hope you can hear me good now.
Yes.
We really liked where we were. I think a lot of people liked it. There's always things that we can improve upon. Our registration was a little rocky in the beginning because we weren't prepared for this amount of people to show up. We fixed it quickly, and like people realized that, and we're very happy. How we got them into the show floor. The parking's free there, easy move in for the exhibitors. I think, as we bring them on, you'll get to hear from them and hear how nice it was for them. And, we're very happy where it was. The location worked out great, and it was in a great proximity for, a lot of these haunts that, we're working with.
Awesome. Awesome. So now my only real follow-up is if I plan to vend next year, when should I be getting a hold of you?
That's a great question because it's kind of funny. I've never met so many new vendors that I don't even know in the last, like 2 days. It's been insane. I've been getting texts and calls and emails from people that, we've been running shows for quite some time, but there's been so many new vendors that are hitting us up. So that being said, quite a few people turned in contracts at the show. I expect that I really didn't hear from anyone that said they didn't do well. So I would expect that, we'll probably have at least 90% of them back. And, you can never get 100 because there's always somebody that the dates don't work or something's going on or whatever. But I would say we'll have 90%. And I already have several new people that weren't even at the show. So, I anticipate if you are waiting or what you're doing, I don't think this show is in a position for you to wait. I think it's something that you're going to want to get your contract in as soon as possible. Quite a few people are expanding. You know, it's listen, I mean, you can hear this a lot of times, you know, from us, that how great things went. I don't even know how to express what happened. It was literally insane.
It was like pure magic. Like, I guess, and maybe even some of the folks on the show don't know this, but you know, usually we run the line and we do all sorts of. When we walked out and the show floor doors were opening, we were in such awe of the line that was coming in the building to get to the show and the line that was coming in the building to register. There were just people. There was a sea of people, and Anne Marie looked at us and she's like, "Do we open?" We're like, "Uh-huh." Like we didn't even know what to kind of do. And I think when I speak for everybody in saying that was a bigger response than any of us ever anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool, and like kudos to the team, you know, like, you know, all the people that work for us, and you know, and people that helped out. It was everybody just did an amazing job. First year shows are always really hard. You never know what to expect. You never know what's going to happen. When you make changes, even like, you know, at TransWorld, there's the possibility of like the halls moving, and it's nerve wracking for people because they're just accustomed to what they're used to. So for this show, it was all new. You know, we didn't know what was going on. But what I do want to say, one thing that, you know, I want to give a shout out to, I really appreciate all the vendors that trusted in us to just come. It's not easy to get people to come. We had about 150 exhibitors, which is insane for a first year. And these guys trusted us. They just trusted that there was going to be something built that would be profitable for them, you know, because it's not easy to get the time away. Most people that vend it isn't their full-time job. They do it on the side. They work regular jobs. They got to get vacation time. You know, and there are, you know, quite a few that do it full-time, but I mean, they're still busy building their orders from TransWorld. So, you know, for them to take their time out, you know, to come, you know, companies like Ghost Ride and Froggies, and, you know, there's just company after company that, you know, was up to, that trusted in us, you know, to come there and definitely vend. It was a big risk for them, and I appreciate that they supported us and believed in us. And I mean, to all you attendees, come out there. You guys did this. I mean, you wanted a show, or the best we can do is put together a venue, advertise, but you really came, and I've never seen so much excitement. Like there were people that, I mean, you could just see when you were on the show floor, it was just a different feel. I mean, people were so excited to be there.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, you know, I'm probably not the best person to show emotion. I'm pretty like even keel, but like it was crazy. Like people were so excited out there. And, you know, I saw vendors, I could barely get a chance to talk to them until Sunday because they were so busy. I'd come by the booths and you couldn't get in there. Like you know, some of the photos were crazy. They were 10, 15 deep standing out in front of booths, and it was like shoulder to shoulder. You know, the coolest part was when you come in that door after everyone got in there. It was crazy.
It was like really magical in a lot of ways. And see, people are saying serendipitous. Now, all right, couple quick questions for you before we really get rolling here.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a plan on expanding the vendor hall into another hall for next year?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So right now, I mean, anybody who was there knows there was additional space there that we could use. There was some space like on the back left wall that booths can be ran around along that wall, which we plan to do because that'll really be a nice traffic path because people will come at the end of rows instead of it being a wall. There will be booths on there. So as they're going up and down the rows, they're going to run into booths at the end of them. So that'll be kind of cool. Kind of the way we had the front of the show. There were booths. The first 7 or 8 booths that were on the right there when you came in, we're going to do the same thing on the back wall, which will make the flow of traffic better because when they get to the end, there's going to be booths lined up the entire length of that wall. And then where we had the freaky photo ops, it was the first year for that. And I think people, kudos to Pennhurst and Reapers. It was actually Paul from Reapers' idea. I mean, he set up his area in there where when you came through the opening, you opened up into a booth and they were doing face painting and stuff in there. I bet you a lot of actors could, you know, probably post about this, that they got their faces made up, and
Yeah.
it was cool. Like the floor was like the old days, like of MHC, like way back when costumes were a huge thing and everybody was like wearing costumes and they were acting. And you can speak on the pit. The pit was
I'm going to. I can't wait to talk about the pit.
crazy because you did participate in the pit.
That was.
You had your haunt there, and you were right up near the stage, and I'm sure we'll get into more about that tonight. But the freaky photo ops area, there's a lot of room there, and my plan is for next year we're sliding the pit over a little bit. I didn't like the way the poles fell down the center of the pit. I want that stage being seen from end to end like we do at MHC because it's amazing there the way we do it there, and we're going to slide the pit over just a little bit further. So there will be additional booths added in front of the pit for some of the new vendors that are coming. And then, the freaky photo ops area will slide back some. So, I anticipate in the hall we're in, we will probably add another 50 booths, probably can fit in there, including in the freaky photo ops area. So really cool stuff. Like it was done, and there's plans already. A lot of vendors have reached out to me. We've been having a lot of calls. A lot of haunts reached out, things that they want to do for next year. So like it was the first year, and I couldn't have asked for a better show, than what everybody did. So
Absolutely. Now, quick question. Nancy and Rob would like to know, how do I get a contract for next year?
So you can email me. I've already sent a bunch out to a lot of people. We did pass them out at the show for current vendors, but if you're not a current vendor, just email me, rich@haashow.com, and I'm happy to send you one. We have a limited number of tabletops. Those are a little less expensive. They're an 8x10, and then we have standard booths that are 10x10, and they're a little bit more. They're both in good spots, but we only sell a limited number of tabletops. So those, if most of the people come back from last year, there will be a few, that can be had if you're somebody that's not really selling stuff. That's kind of who we reserve them for. More like, maybe you can sell things in them, but it's like artists, or, there were a lot of other events in the area that vended, like Troy vended for his haunt tour, and there was another show that from like North Carolina that vended, and they do a show. They had some, people like that do tabletops because they're kind of just advertising, what they're doing. They're not really selling anything at the show, so we kind of reserve them for them. And but yeah, there's space. You get an email into me, and if you are someone that exhibited this year and you didn't get your contract in, I urge you to get it in as soon as possible, especially if you plan to expand. There are so many people expanding, you know what I mean? So there were some amazing booths on the floor, and we'll talk about that.
So now, okay, quick follow-up on burning questions, and I'm sure we're going to get questions all throughout the night tonight, but this is a good one, and I know you guys have answered it on some of the pages, but will there be more food and area to sit and eat?
Yeah, so I mean, there was no problems with sitting. I mean, we set up a beautiful, display in the center of the pit, and a lot of people got to sit there, and we've done this before, so we know how that works. I do apologize for the concession stand. We don't run the center, but I don't think they were prepared for the amount of people we brought. So the first day was very rough. You were waiting 30 to 45 minutes, and we don't hide from that. Like there's people that posted, and we appreciate the comments. We appreciate you telling us what wasn't right, what you weren't happy with. But there was very few things that people weren't happy with. I mean, that was a problem for everyone. The issue is the center doesn't allow outside food. Meaning you can't, like we couldn't bring in food trucks and things like that to kind of fill the void. Now, we will be in talks with them to open up a second concession center. We did have a bar in there as well, and I don't know how well the bar did. We'll have to check into that. On Sunday, the concession center wasn't a problem. They seemed to catch up a little bit more, and obviously the attendance wasn't the same as it was on Saturday, but it was really, really strong, honestly. It was a great crowd on Sunday, but they seemed to keep up pretty well then, so I think they fixed some things, but it's a work in progress. So we're gonna add a second concession stand, even if it's mobile, and try to figure it out. Jim posted the quality of food was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
We appreciate that. I'll be honest, like Philly's not a cheap place to do a show. It's it's 3 times as expensive as, you know, what we do at MHC, you know, in Chicago. So the costs are really high there. I don't think the food was high. I'm just saying the costs at a center and things like that are extremely expensive. We'd like to expand on the side, seminar rooms. We're looking into that. So there's some things that we're trying to figure out. The seminars were packed because the rooms were tight, and we understood that, but that's all the center has to offer. They only have 2 rooms. So we like the center where we don't have intentions of leaving. So, you know, some of you haunts out there that are local, if you have ideas to help us try to build some center, like seminar enclosures, you know, reach out to me. We're trying to figure out some things. We may take the registration area and break that in half and turn that into seminar rooms, and then move registration. We'll rent another hall, you know, and
Yeah.
registration in there. That's probably the preliminary plans, but you know, everything's, you know, Jen and I, and we kind of talk to everybody else in the industry, you know, and try to get feedback, and we'll get some tonight. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are going to text a message, and some of the vendors will give us some support and ideas, you know, to go forward.
Awesome. All right. So that's enough, I think, from you and I, because we're going to be talking about this all night. But we have a very special guest coming up just now that I want to bring on. And I got a little birdie told me that 2024 is this company's 24th year in business.
Wow.
So now this awesome company that I'm talking about is Ghost Ride Productions. And they were one of the first people that I remember jumping on this bandwagon with us for ECHC in such a big way.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about Ghost Ride. They're always there. They're one of the, you know, like there's a lot of people in the industry that are, you know, like in it for it's kind of a part-time gig for them, you know, so they do it for the love of it, and they vend and they make some things and stuff like that. And there's actors that actually have their own businesses, but Ghost Ride is a straight up, you know, 365-day a year vendor and business, and they're constantly innovating and making new products, and they support us at every show. They're always there. They always take space, and they always have amazing ideas. So you know, we're happy that they're there.
All right. Well, that one thing too is that 2025 is going to be their 25th year, and they're going to be celebrating it with us.
Sweet.
At the Halloween and Attraction Show. Let's go ahead and bring on Michael Shaley and see how his show went.
Nice.
All right.
Hello.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the nice words. Yeah, a quarter of a century. Who would have thought, right?
That's amazing.
I gotta correct you on Nicole. I was not for East Coast at first. When Jen told me, I was like, not another show. Because there's been shows up there. And it's like, I didn't know anything about the region. The furthest we go is, you know, to the St. Louis show. And so I started feeling like everybody else, like, you know, this is too much. You know, how much more is it going to cost? And I felt like it's just too much. And then let me tell you what I found out. I found out that there is such a concentration of people up there that are underserved. And at this show, we had so many people that came to us and said, oh my gosh, this show was never this big. And I'm like, this is our first year. And they're like, no, it was a while ago that you guys were here. We're like, no, did you ever see crowds like this? They're like, it wasn't anything like this. So it's the population density up there is what we're looking at. And so what I kind of want to go with you, because I just literally got off a plane back from Philly this morning. I'm going to give you the top 10 reasons why vendors should be vending at this show. If you missed it this year, you got to be kicking yourself, because I've never seen a show floor in 25 years on any show that I've gone to for first year that was as packed as this show floor. It doesn't matter anything else. It doesn't matter the amount of vendors or anything. If you have a packed show floor, you're going to make some business because you're going to have eyeballs. But I found out that, number one, the reason why you should be going is the Philly area has 650,000 residents locally. But in the metro Philly area, it's 6.5 million. Our draw for that show is 6.5 million. That's incredible. All right. Now, I don't think TransWorld needed luck on anything. They managed this show expertly. What they did get lucky on was the weather. I'll tell you, number two, proven calendar. Nobody else is doing anything around them that has any sort of proven track record. TransWorld is a professional show company. and they're going to bring all those assets that they've been doing. And it showed in this show head and shoulders above the rest. And the fact that they had great weather, hotels, plenty of hotels around. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's not that big of a deal. It's like 10 or 15 minutes away. Perfect time to see the haunts, perfect weather, plenty of haunts in the area. So this is something that can go on year after year. And, you know, just because there were defunct shows in the past, this is the perfect storm for TransWorld to come in, because that professional management really brings pro results. And I think the people that were there, and if you watch the videos, Patty put up a video on Haunt World, and she did a walkthrough. She could barely get through the aisles. By the way, that was Sunday at 11 o'clock. That was 1 hour into the show. Yeah. Parking lot was full.
Saturday, you can say too, Saturday was like, whew.
Saturday was crazy. I mean, I've never heard from so many vendors, oh my gosh, there's too many people. I mean, that's the opposite is what you normally hear from people.
You know what, Michael, it's funny you said that, because somebody said to me, can you take more space next year so we can have the people more spread out? And that's funny, because like it was hard for them to actually take the orders because there were people everywhere. It was hard to see.
Yeah. So. And by the way, from open to close, it didn't taper off. It was open to close. Both days were solid people. Just watch the videos, guys. You'll see the walkthroughs. It was crazy. All right. So number 3 is there are fresh eyes at this show. I cannot tell, and I'll bet you some of these other vendors that are on this right now, they're going to tell you that there were so many people that they never even heard of, and that that never heard of them as well. I considered this show a semi-pro show. TransWorld, absolutely number 1 in the industry, number 1 in the world, as being a pro show. This is a semi-pro show. We saw haunters, we saw enthusiasts, we saw a lot of actors, we saw every bit of the ecosystem that makes up haunting. And I'll tell you, the semi-pro show is where it's at, because you can bring small stuff and you can bring big stuff, and it will sell. And we sold pretty much our entire booth, 80% of it, first day. A lot of those attendees had never been to HAA, never even heard of HAA. And now it's going to be different from this point on. And there's a high concentration of haunts in that area. Remember, 6.5 million within that area. Number 4, booth costs, a little bit more than half of what TransWorld is. But I'll tell you, for the bang for your buck, the eyeballs that you're going to get, fresh people that want new product. And that, you know what, I'll tell you what, based on that booth price, I think you get a better value at this show, because this show actually puts you in front of people that don't know about TransWorld. And this is their first exposure to haunted house props of a higher quality. With the cost of the booth, I think it's safe to say that you should not be getting 1 booth. You need to get 2 booths, so you can display your product. And you need to display that product so it's inside your booth. The aisleways are so packed that if you're waiting for somebody to walk by your booth, if you do the classic booth where you just have a line of stuff out in front and you stand behind, you're not going to be able to engage with your clients. And that's one of the things about this, because it's such a low cost entry to get a booth. This is where you should be practicing for TransWorld, practicing to get into the big game. And if you can only spend, I don't know, what was it, $800 this year, Rich?
Yeah, it was 8, and if you had a corner, it was $850. That was for the bird. So
that's incredible.
But that's a way better investment to test market your product. And that's what's good about a low barrier of entry for this, is being able to test product and allow buyers to come in your booth. If you think you want 2 booths, get 3. If you want 4, get 5. Make it open so people can come in and you can engage. People walk by a crowded booth and they keep walking and they keep saying, oh, we'll just come back later when they're less busy. Guess what? At East Coast, there is no less busy. It was busy every single day. Do not make the mistake of having too small a booth and pack it. People want to be able to go in, engage with you, and you need to find out what's going on with them.
That's the best point. I mean, and we don't get a chance to talk about that. And you're going to go over your 10 things, but it's just one thing I wanted to touch on. It is so important. I've seen, and listen, everybody sets up their booth their own way, but you've been doing it long enough. When you enclose your booth and they can't come in it, and they're jammed in the aisleways, you don't realize how many sales you're losing. I mean? You want it to be inviting, where they can come in and they can walk around and talk to you and see your stuff. It's major.
They're going to be interested in the product, but they're going to buy off of you. If you seem dishonest, or you're just trying to make a quick buck, and they can't engage with you, you may get some sales, but this is about, these people are people that build relationships and that keep coming back year after year. And once you have that word of mouth, then you're going to be able to make sales. So
Michael,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to put in a quick note to the previous point that Alan just brought up, that people were writing down the names Ben Armstrong, John LaFlamboy, and Alan Hops because they had never heard of them before. Just to give you an idea, like that fresh set of eyes, that really, that just hit me. I was like, wait, what? But it's true. It's a whole untapped market in such a big way.
Well, they're a motivated market. And I think that's key. They were given something years ago, it failed, and now they have something and they're like, their eyes are open, like, holy crap, what is this? I'd never even thought about this. So like Rich, you were saying people giving you hugs. I had so many people like shaking my hand, like, I cannot believe this quality. And it's like, they've just been, they're regulated to spirit and to, the retail stuff. And these people have money. So
agreed.
Another thing is the load-in, Rich. The load-in was fantastic. Now, I think people need to do more drayage and they need to bring it in. Now it's $77 a pound to bring it in, but it's really, you basically show up and set up. When you do drayage with TransWorld or with anybody, you just show up, your stuff's there, and you start to set up. If you want to lump your stuff in, you can do that. But the advantage of this show was that a lot of people got to drive their truck right in, drop everything off, and drive right out. And if we can,
if you're local, that's the way to go. Yeah, but I mean, if you're from, you're way across the country from here, and you shipped your stuff in, and it's sitting in your booth when you get there, and you used your pallets that you shipped in on to build a booth. It was actually awesome. Right,
and that's one of the things we did is we tested a new booth for next year because we wanted to try to change things up. But I got to tell you, we brought 25% of the weight that we brought to TransWorld. That's how much product we brought.
That's a ton of stuff. Yeah, and you only had 4 booths, and like putting all that stuff in there.
We brought in almost 22,000 pounds. Wow. I'm sorry, 2,200 pounds, not 22,000. 2,200 pounds of gear, and we sold it all.
Great.
Number 6, is you got to train your new buyers. Okay, these are new people that may have not even known about TransWorld. This is a perfect time to get into those people and be the leader for information for them. And as a salesperson, you should be trying to be the expert that they see. And this is a perfect opportunity because it's fresh and new. We did talk about the motivated buyers, but another stream that we had from people telling us about coming to the show is they had a conflict and they couldn't go to TransWorld. So this is a way to pick up that business. And when I was talking to Jen and Rich about this show, I always said, we need to know what our message is at this show. Our message at MHC is different from the HAA show. And our message at this show is anything we didn't get to complete for the HAA show, we want to complete for this show. So we brought all brand new product, not even online, just to see and test market it. This is the perfect opportunity because these are a semi-pro group. And we saw plenty of other haunters as well. But some people have a conflict and they can't go to HAA, or they don't go every year because it can be pricey. Absolutely. But this show, it's in with driving range for them, and they showed up. One of the let's see, number 8, we sold big sell items. They won't buy as much. I don't know how, and we'll find out how animations will do, but big sale items over $500, people were buying. And that's not what you see at other shows. Trinkets and things like that, they'll buy those because there's no commitment.
And not to cut you off, like that's what was lacking. Like if we could say anything that wasn't there that should be there next year, where people were asking for bigger ticket items. And listen, they're not going to get into the $25,000 items probably there, but that's a TransWorld thing. But $5,000, things like that. And people were asking for animations. Like a lot of people ask for animations.
Well, we got to cross that bridge, when we start talking about it. But definitely, I mean, there's nowhere to go but up on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that these companies are willing to drop $4,000 or $5,000 at a shot for a first year show and not knowing us as a company, that says something about their motivation.
Yep.
Number 9, consistent traffic was just awesome. And I think that has to do with the fact that it's a 2-day show. For a lot of people, it may be a 1-day show, but that means that they're going to be motivated to buy right then and there because they're not going to have enough chance. Number 10 is, like I said, they can stagger their show. If people want to go to TransWorld 1 year for just the owners and then bring their and then this is a motivation for their actors to go to a smaller show and see multiple haunts, because there's a lot of haunts in that area that you can do in the future. That's another way that people can kind of save money by still hitting both shows or just staggering from one year to the next. East Coast is really a distilled version of TransWorld at this point. It's just taking all the good stuff and the stuff that people want on a regular basis and putting it in there. I think statics and small props are going to be a big sale next year, a big sale.
I do too. I could see that. I mean, that's a huge gap that if
we have to get them, we have to have them reach further to go beyond Spirit and, the $40, the $100. We get them into the $300 or $400 range. Now you're able to pay for your booth for 4 or 5 sales. Okay. And then I'm going to give you an 11, because we're going to go to 11. That's going to be, you're going to be able to evaluate your marketing abilities. People need to practice their sales. And if you have this ability at this trade show to practice, you're not putting it all on the line at the TransWorld show. You need to practice before TransWorld. Why are there no seminars on selling at the TransWorld show? It's too late. You need to be practicing sales techniques throughout the whole year so that you can get your product. If you believe in your product and you believe it should be in your client's hands, then you need to practice on that. You can't just say, I'm going to wing it because it's a cool product. Cool's cool, but it don't pay the bills.
I agree with you. And what's interesting, and this is like a perfect example. You could say there was one product that 5 companies sold. Why do 3 or 4 of them do great and one doesn't? And they're the same product. It has everything to do with salesmanship.
Could even be cheaper. Why is the more expensive one selling?
Right. Exactly.
And I think the main thing is practicing sales techniques, but also being a reputable vendor and having a good product and standing behind your product. All of those things involved, but you have to practice at it. If you don't practice, and there's plenty of ways you can do sales techniques, but and it's not like a used car salesman. I'm just saying that you need to be able to represent your product so that the client knows that it's there and it's for them. And I think that's what's missing the most is people do not practice. Practice and you will see results. So that's my 10.
Great points.
This was amazing. Like I think, this is going to be a great episode, really, truly, to send to anybody that could ever, have any questions about vending anywhere, but truly for East Coast Haunters, this is a fantastic guide.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, is there anything else that was, I know you listed a whole bunch of stuff. Was there anything else to you just from being on the show floor firsthand that was surprising? I got to tell you, I was so surprised that these people, this isn't a massive show floor. It's 20% of what TransWorld is, but these people were there all day. And I think it was one of those things where they just couldn't believe that this was in their backyard now. But that's what amazed me. It's like, usually at TransWorld, you get this rush and then, then the seminar, when the seminars are going on, when it's lunch, that rush never stopped. And it was engaging and it went by fast. And, you're meeting new people, trying out new stuff. I mean, we even, we did a new booth design just to see what we could do depending on how TransWorld does their layout next year. So this is the best place to try it out, but it's not worth it to do it at MHC. So, I was just amazed at the crowds. I mean, that's going to probably be like beating a dead horse at this point because everybody saw the crowds, but it's amazing when you see it for yourself.
Yeah, so, it was cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we are so thankful for your time. We know that you did a lot of business while you were there and you've probably got a lot going on these next couple of weeks. And, we're going to see you at MHC this year.
Well, you're starting next week. We're starting already.
Yeah.
So we're bringing our whole cadre of, imperfect, the blemishes, seconds, artist proofs, things like that. We're going to bring that, and that's our message for that show is the DIY. We typically bring about 1,000 pounds of gear to that show, and it's all for people to practice. We'll be there to help you out, tell you what vendors to go to for paint, how to do whatever, try to get into it. Because, when I was growing up and with, some of my colleagues were growing up and we were doing this stuff, We didn't have the internet. We didn't have any of that stuff. We had a magazine that we waited for to look at what, Fangoria or whatever. And, now these kids can come into our booth. They, instead of spending $200-$300 for a severed head, they can buy a raw one. I can help them paint it. And now they got something that they can do on their own. And that's the main thing, is getting them hooked to doing their stuff on their own and not having to spend so much money for silicone and all that other stuff. Just practice, and then you'll get good. And then you can start doing the silicone stuff.
So, Michael, I got something quick while we're, talking about East Coast and MHC, because people ask, like, even vendors are like, should I come to MHC, or is it going to be the same people? Can you answer on that, how you feel? Because you've done both shows, and talk about the people that show up at Midwest and the people that are coming to East Coast. And TransWorld you can't really consider because they can go to all the shows and bounce around from that. But these regional shows, what are your thoughts about Midwest compared to East Coast? And, like, are you seeing the same customer or no?
Well, I don't see the same customer at East Coast. Or I'm sorry, I can't say anything about the East Coast because that's new. MHC, I don't see the same customer. I see more of a DIYer, home haunter, and enthusiast. But they are motivated to want to know how to do more stuff on their own. And
right.
So,
well, yeah, what I mean is, it's I'm talking about, this is your first year doing East Coast.
mm-hmm.
The customers that you saw there, did you see them at Midwest, or was that a completely different clientele that you saw at MHC?
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what people ask that question. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were. They wanted to know, some of the vendors wanted to know, they're like, am I going to go to Midwest and get the same customer? It's not.
No, you won't. But you shouldn't be going to Midwest with the same mindset of East Coast. You got to change that up. It's a different client. It's a different dollar amount as well. You got to change it up. It's not that you can't get the larger sales, but I don't know if those larger sales are going to be solid. Are going to be solid sales on the show floor. It's probably going to be follow up.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you should be fine.
And I just want to say, Alan says, I love this guy. He does not get enough praise. That is for sure.
Thank you. Well, we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, and we'll go from there, huh?
All right. Thanks for coming on. See you in Chicago.
Great job, you guys. You guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take it easy.
All right. See you soon. All right. That was amazing. I mean, I feel like we're going to be, yeah. Are you walking on air, Rich? Because
that's pretty cool. I mean, it's nice to, the last thing I want to see is a vendor that didn't do well.
Right.
It's really hard to get them, to talk them in to coming out to a show and spending their money to come out and they don't get sales. I can't make the sales for anybody. Nobody can, but you got to bring in enough buyers in order for these vendors to have an opportunity to make the sales. So, and what Michael's good at is he really understands the industry, and he's not afraid. If you're a new vendor, he's a guy you should talk to, because he will do everything to help you. He's not the kind of guy that's like, yeah, I'm not going to help you because I don't want you getting sales over me. He would help. So.
He really, at least this is something I've always perceived, is he really believes in, if I'm succeeding and I can get you to succeed, then we'll all achieve it together, and bigger things all the way around. So Michael is not the only one that had a really great show, but also has some really great tips. I think it's time to bring on some of our other vendor friends that had a pretty awesome weekend as well. Let's go ahead and welcome Kate, Nate, and Tate, if he's here still, from Froggy's Fog. Todd Fedeshyn from Reaper's Revenge, Haunted Hayride and Attractions. And then Bryce Alexander from HauntSupply. And then I'm going to introduce myself, Nicole Ginsburg from Frightmare Farms.
Does that mean I got to take over here because I'm the only
Well, yes, just a little bit. Bit. How is everybody?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. Tater just got up.
Definitely catching up from some lost sleep from this weekend, but that's okay because it was amazing. So.
Sure. Wow. I mean,
I like how they got the memo to wear the Froggy's Fog shirt, and this guy didn't.
Yeah.
All right. I'll start off because actually I saw something that Garrett put on here, which was the pit setup. So this was something that was really cool for haunts that had booths in the pit. this was a great masterclass for any of the Q characters to practice their improv skills with knowledgeable attendees. I thought that was a really cool thing that happened that I had never really seen before.
Yeah.
That, and then also from a haunt standpoint, being able to participate and actually see what was happening on the stage, and also be able to look down the aisles and see the sea of people and all the buying and stuff that was happening was a very cool experience.
Yeah.
I've never looked down the barrel of a gun before, but I felt like that's what we were doing when we were just sitting there, setting up our booth, turning on our machines on Saturday, and just watching the line go bigger and bigger and bigger. And then at one point, I look at the conservatorship up there, and I go, "We don't have enough people. We do not have enough staff." And Brian Muggett walked by and goes, "There's too many damn people out there."
You know what's funny, Tater, is Jen calls me, so I'm in on the floor, and like I could see this. There's a set of glass doors that you could see outside and see where the line was going. So she's like, "We're doing really good up here in registration. How's the line?" I was like, "Well, I mean, since the last time you called me a double." So I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" And I said, "No, it's like wrapped all the way around to this side. Now I can see the back of the line right in front of me." So then she calls me about 20 minutes later, and she's like, "How's it doing now? Like, we've been really moving people through." And I said, "Yeah, I hate to tell you, but it looks like it almost doubled again. It's like literally, I can't even see the back of the line anymore. It's wrapped all the way around the building." So it was crazy. And this show floor was already open, and it just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And then we made some changes and did some things, and like just got everybody in the building within like probably 40 minutes after that. We got every single person in, but it was insane.
Rich, I can't tell you. First of all, there's tons of people in our booth. Second of all, I can't tell you what the convention, like the actual floor of the convention center looked like, because we couldn't see it all day Saturday and Sunday. I have no idea what it looked like.
Yeah.
No.
I thought the fire marshal was going to come by your booth and shut it down because
I literally have
found
a
it
stack of
in
orders
it
right
or
here
anywhere near it. So
that when I got done filling out one order, I had 3 people waiting right behind them to write another order. And Kate and Nate can probably talk a little better, because I did have to run away to the stages for a little bit sometimes. But it was literally the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And everybody is to be a top 10, to add to Michael's top 11. Everybody was so nice. Hugs and handshakes and warmth and accommodating, and the beautiful souls that were coming through the door and just anxious to learn about anything and everything going on was unbelievable, truthfully. You know, people walking by the booth like, "Hey, you guys have been busy all day. Can I get you a beer? Can I get you a soda? Can I wait in that concession stand line?" And if you didn't get that, I'm sorry. Your name is Todd, and you're just a mean, horrible person.
Tater's
He's in
giving
his
you
FBI
hate
truck right
because you're getting so much love in the chat right now, Todd. Oh, you're right.
Todd is muted, which is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Is Todd frozen?
No, that's just how he looks, Kate.
I haven't
Todd,
even seen him blink, so it's like,
Todd, we can't hear you if you're trying to talk, buddy. Yeah, we can't.
We don't have your audio, Todd.
Robert to the rescue.
You better get Rebecca to come fix the audio, Todd.
Yeah. Todd's actually at an FBI stakeout right now, if you can't tell by his background. He is just waiting to bust down the doors.
Right, so we lost Todd. He'll be back. So let's
He'll
hear
be
from
back.
Caitlin and Nate. How was it, you guys?
It was, I don't, like, words can't describe it. I know that Nate had to run back to the hotel room because we left our card reader for the square by accident in his backpack, not mine. And so he went back, and it was 11:05. He sent me a picture of the line outside, and it was down to the doors of Hall B. And my only comment was, run. Like, as fast as possible, get back to the hotel, come back with the card readers. But it was, I mean, the love and the warmth, as Tater said, on the show floor, that people were okay. Like, our booth was packed to the point that if I finished up like at the back of the booth, but someone had a question at the front of the booth, I had to exit our booth, use the aisles to shimmy to that person. And when I mean shimmy, it was a sideways shimmy because the aisles were so packed. I did see the fire department come through once, and I was like, "Uh-oh, we're in trouble." And I think they were just like walking the show floor, but I was like, "There's too many people in this hall." But it was. If you have any question on whether you should be vending at this show, you should be vending at this show. Like, that's all I have to say. Like, it is the way for you to, if you haven't ever vended at a Midwest, if you haven't ever vended at TransWorld, it's the way for you to know this is the show, like whether you are ready to
The
vend.
fact that before the show floor opened, it was on Friday, I believe, Kate. We walked into the show floor like area.
Oh, it was like sold out.
And somebody was like at the merch stand, was like, I need an extra large t-shirt. And the Stephanie, who works for TransWorld, just shook their head and said, I'm sorry, we're sold out of that. Like, they were sold out of extra larges at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
If that tells you how crazy busy it was, they were out of merch at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
we had a QR code for people to order shirts.
Yes.
So if there's anybody out there that didn't get one, you can reach out to us still, and we're gonna order a bunch more and ship them out and whatever. It was crazy.
And people were ready to buy. Like, they were ready. There wasn't a question of what they wanted.
Sounds like Todd's in my backyard.
I know. Todd's in my vent up above me. I'm in
my backyard right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just loved East Coast so much. God.
Hey, Robert, can you mute him again?
No.
Yeah,
listen, I can't wait for Bryce to start. He's been sitting there calm and cool.
Is Bryce allowed to talk? Or, here's the first thing I want to say about Bryce.
No.
Dude, I've never seen you without, like, your winter hat on. Like, you got a baseball cap on. You look completely different. I was like, wait a minute, who is that?
My stand-in. Rich had to wake me up this morning.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here.
I told Bryce to call me right away. I got to see if he was going to be on the show. He called me about 2:30. He's kind of like he just crawled out of bed.
Dude, I did.
Standard time. I don't know where he's at, but like
Vegas, baby.
Oh, well, then that's not too bad. Then I give you a pass. So here's
I went right back to bed.
Gotcha.
I know you didn't, off the top of your head, know the dates for next year. Pre-show tour is the 24th of April. Friday night tour, the 25th, and then the show is the 26th and 27th.
See, I was right.
So yes.
Yeah, see, you're doing great.
Yes.
All right, so I've got some specific questions because I like to ask questions, but also I'm really nosy. So Todd, talk to me about, or share with us. So you guys did a really cool setup from Reapers. Not only were you guys sharing some space with Pennhurst to kind of advertise both of your attractions, but you also set up an area with your really talented staff, and they were offering demos, and you had photo spaces. Like, tell us a little bit about all of that.
All right. Well, from the beginning, when TransWorld and Rich and Jen approached all the haunts on the East Coast and said, "Hey, we want to bring this show to Philly. We want to hear what's going to work for you guys." And instantly we jumped on board, Bates, Field, all of us, and Pennhurst and Reapers being sister haunts with mutual ownerships. We decided, hey, let's make a big mark. Reapers really couldn't be open. So with Pennhurst being on the pre-show or the show, we just kind of decided, let's divert all our energy to support Pennhurst, give them the help they need. Let's put our booths together, get a big space, and get a couple extra spots and just have some fun. But we weren't really selling anything. This show for me, I want to go to TransWorld. I want to be able to do all the things we do at TransWorld. But this show was about our haunt family. And when Rich sold me on what he was putting together here with Jen and the amazing team from TransWorld, I was on board 100% and said, this has got to be for our family. And that's what we did. And it turned out great. It's awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate it. You guys and all the rest of the haunts really stepped up. I mean, the show wouldn't be what it was and what it will be if it wasn't for you guys. I mean, it was really cool to see so many haunts get behind it and want to be part of it. And there are many more asking about being part of it next year. So it was really, really fun. And, you know, it wasn't anything we asked for that you guys didn't try to provide. So, you know, we really appreciate that. It was a big deal to us.
Well, I'll just tell you guys, and then I'll stop speaking. You know, I told Rich this story back when this was ran by somebody else years ago, and not nearly at this level or professionalism, but still a show in the Philly area years ago. That's where I met one of my dear friends, John Denley. And it really kind of, after 26 years of doing this thing called haunting that we do, you know, I looked around as I spoke to Alan and Shannon Hobbs, or you know, Ben Armstrong or John LaFlamboy, and the people that were coming by our booths, or we're stopping by and talking to them, and just how everybody was just so giddy and excited. It was like, wow, it felt like just old school haunting, man. And that's all I can say. It felt so good. I'm getting tingles thinking about it. I'm done.
It was fun. And again, like I was saying, everybody who was in the pit had a big part of what went on with the entertainment. You know, Nicole's group was right up near the stage. Yours was in the middle. And again, we don't want to, you know, make Paul's head too big, but like he did have a good idea of putting that booth right in the opening, and everyone saw it. And you know, he's has a little bit of trouble remembering things, you know, but that's one thing that he can hang on to for a long time. So it was a great idea.
You've said it twice now,
and he deserves it. He deserves it.
I guarantee he's got it recorded.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff going on with this.
Yeah, I love it because when you walked through that pit and you saw through there and saw that, it attracted everybody back there. Otherwise, it would have been a white wall. And we had a bunch of photo ops and different things there. Bates brought an amazing car that they had there. You know, their Undertaker. It was awesome, and and I'm sure a lot of you seen the photos online. You know, and seen this stuff. It was really cool.
I have never seen like a haunt family, like everybody that was in the pit. I can't tell you the amount. Like I was on stage a couple of times, and I would take a jab at just like Todd because he's a close friend of mine, or Todd's haunt, or the other haunts would boo me, not because it was a bad answer, but because they love everybody around that area so much that it was like, okay, well, maybe I should go a different way with my answers now.
Yeah, Todd.
Tater, in all honesty, bro, I was paying people to boo you. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
Hey, Todd, is it really your birthday?
No.
Happy birthday, Todd.
Because we celebrated it like 5 times in the last couple of months. You know,
the most ridiculous thing, and now you can give Paul all this credit. Back in Chicago years ago, when Statesville was on Legendary years ago, we were in Chicago and we were kind of having a long trip into town. So he wished me a happy birthday to get me a free dessert. Everybody loved it. So the whole weekend we're on the buses and we're singing happy birthday, and everybody at TransWorld thinks it's my birthday. And then the next day it's my birthday. And everybody's like, well, wasn't it yesterday? And I gave a whole speech that no, it was really at midnight. And
been having a lot of birthdays. So.
Yeah.
Okay, for the record, I think this has happened 3 or 4 times. Whenever you've been on here, somebody wishes you a happy birthday. And I immediately was like, his birthday's in December. I've been down this road before, but I still went right to your profile just to double check, because I was like, how did we miss that? They're usually so good. I was panicked.
There was a lot of people's birthday. Shout out to,
at the show.
You know, it's funny. We must have bought 4 cakes while we were there.
Yeah. Shannon Hobbs, Alejo. Like it was, there was a lot happening.
Jeff, who works for us, his birthday. It was great.
I got a cake too, for the record. I got a cake. I had to wait until Sunday after the show floor closed, and we were just sitting around, but we finally got a cake.
Well, that's good. Hey, I don't mean to cut everybody off.
That's what we had eaten Tater that day too. Was the cake? We devoured it.
Yeah, I think we need to bring Bryce into this a little bit here.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm great. I'm good.
Bryce is so busy entering things into his website. Poor guy.
So, Bryce, real quick. To me, you probably had, like, if we were giving out awards at the show, you definitely had the best booth on the floor. It was awesome. So,
thank you.
Talk a little bit about what you brought and how it was. I can tell you when I went in Every day I couldn't even move.
Well, let's start with that line for one. I had no idea how to get in. We showed up. You caught me 3 minutes before the show opens.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. 3 minutes. I got this. We have plenty of time. Go over there, 3 minutes, and suddenly everyone's in the building. So that was not nearly enough time. I don't know how they filled the building as quickly as they did within 3 minutes, but they did, and we couldn't walk. So like Rich said, there was a crowd in the booth the entire time, and Michael Shaley mentioned it. Everyone's mentioned it. The fact that there wasn't a lot of huge, big ticket items at the show. Me and the guys, we were going through, what do we bring to East Coast? What do we bring? What do we bring? Is it going to be too expensive? Is it going to be too big? Is it going to be too small? We don't really do smalls. So we're like, well, smalls isn't really a thing. So I guess too big is the only case here. So I'm glad we went with what we did. The mausoleums and the crypts and whatnot and the tombstones. We went just kind of plug and play. What's the easiest thing you can do with this stuff? Two people can pick these things up and throw them in a corner of your haunted house. It's that easy. And the tombstones are priced that anyone can buy them. Anyone can buy multiples of them. And within 2 hours of the show opening, everything in that booth was gone, which I'm insanely grateful for. That's not what I expected at all. TransWorld was great. We got a lot of huge jobs that'll get us throughout the year. But it was a slow burn for orders. But this show, it didn't stop. You couldn't move. I should have had 4 more booths for that matter. But we were just a little hesitant because again, it's a new show. I had no idea. I only know a few folks up that way on the East Coast. So now he's going back and forth.
Let's be honest here. Let's give the real truth here. What really happened? We got to give Jen some credit. She couldn't make the show.
Yeah.
But Bryce calls in.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to get a little sponsorship on a banner, maybe have my name there, whatever. And Jen's like, the hell you are. You're going to get some booths. You're going to come to the show. And he's like, all right. And it started with 1 booth, and then it went to 2, and then it was 4. So, and you got
I was like, yep.
So happy that it actually happened.
And then it was day 2 of East Coast. I'm like, Rich, that spot over there, we need it. That spot back there, we might need that too. So we're definitely going bigger, a lot bigger next year. Hopefully we can have just as much luck as we had this year. You just got to find that sweet spot in what we do specifically, which is building set pieces. We're used to building full escape rooms and full haunted houses.
Yeah.
So doing this is kind of new to us. I've never taken something this size, this medium, plug and play stuff to a show, and it's a no-brainer.
It works. Is that one of his tombstones there?
Yes. I wanted to just show everybody that. Look at this. This ain't no joke.
Yeah, Todd wanted the lights on there, and it was just easier to be like, "Hey, Todd, just take the whole thing. Just take the whole thing."
But look at those lights on there, man. That ain't no joke.
Yeah, and that's not your typical, foam tombstone with some great paint either. We wanted to go for hefty. Me being the guy that's worked at all these haunted houses throughout the years, that's what I've only ever done. I've never worked at Quick Trip or Party City or anything like that. I know the frustration of a tombstone that you stick so many holes in the bottom, you have nothing to attach it down with anymore.
Yeah.
It's annoying as hell. And that's another reason why I think we did so well at this show specifically is that level haunted there. There's everything from the small guys, medium guys to the big guys. And I worked for everyone. I worked for the smallest of haunts growing up to, as big as the darkness throughout the years. So having that range of product and the range of price definitely helps. Being a haunter, from 13 years old to 26 definitely helps us sell stuff. Yeah. And having that range in one area, being the East Coast, it's great. It worked out for us beautifully.
Yeah, and the pictures thanks Robert for the pictures you put up. It doesn't really do, it was great, but it doesn't do justice to what that booth looked like on the floor. It was amazing. And it was cool. And it was funny because there was another booth that was high up, like right across from yours. And people were walking through the center of your booth and like surrounding it. And every time I come back there, you literally couldn't move in the booth. It was hilarious.
Yeah. We're trying to do business in the aisles at that point. It was crazy. It really was. And, I can't thank the attendees and the haunts enough for that crowd. We had that big line at TransWorld, but our retail area was nowhere near as crowded at this show.
It was
the orders are insane, and we're going to be building crypts and tombstones for quite some time now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we
absolutely.
appreciate you coming too. It was, we love booths like that, and I think the attendee loves it too. They love to see stuff like that. Like Reapers did some similar stuff. They brought in an amazing bar, with Pennhurst in the pit, which was really cool. And that stuff, listen, they're not selling anything, so they did it because they wanted to provide that for the attendee. They want to provide that for their actors, rep and look cool. They want to look good, to rep their haunt. And I think that's where this show went. It was really cool that people stepped up to try to do things like that.
Yeah, and being a theme guy and in the theming business, I absolutely love the bar. I love the pieces. Like you said, the stuff that the haunts are doing over there, specifically Field of Screams, their booth on wheels. That's what I should bring next year and just build a booth on a trailer and pull it in. It was beautiful.
Awesome. Yep.
I hope to see
Terror with a giant prop.
Yeah, the big monsters. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I hope to see more of next year. I hope to see some more. We'll probably bring some animations next year. We thought about it, and I kind of regret not doing it, but there's always next year. It gives us something else to do. Yep. But we're not necessarily an animation business, so bringing some pieces next year will be enough. I've already heard from some other folks that they're going to be coming that'll fill that void. So I'm pretty excited to see the lineup for next year.
Before we switch out of here, I just want to give a shout out and a love to all of the haunts that were on the pre-show tour. Legends, Laurels, the amazing hidden gem that is Markoff's, Pennhurst, and Field of Screams, Otherworld. Everything leading up and to the show floor was just mind-blowingly awesome. And then Otherworld throwing that Saturday night party was amazing. So thank you to all of those haunts over there as well. And again, you've probably never heard of, but some of those haunts on the tour, and it's a good time to meet them and interact with them. I spent up until 4 a.m.
On one, the Eastern State Penitentiary, they were in. I don't think we had Field of Screams this year, did we? That's next year.
No, it was Bates.
No, sorry, Bates.
Bates. Bates, and then Eastern State, we were there as well. So, but yes, kudos to all of them.
To all of those, I spent up until 4 a.m. one night talking to owners from all of the haunts there, selling things. Poor Kate and Nate got woken up at 4 a.m. when I stumbled back into the room, and then got yelled at when they woke me up at 8 o'clock to go on the show floor.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our show sponsor. And then what I want to do is bring on two of the haunts from the tour so that we can all talk about it together.
Anything you need, Haunt Pay's here for you. Established in 2013, we're gonna keep on chugging.
All right, awesome. Okay, this screen's going to be filled a little bit more because we have none other than Jim Werner from Pennhurst and David Harding from Markoff, who are going to join us and give us some love on all this awesome stuff we did. Welcome.
Evening. Thank you.
Sweet. First, we would like to just say thanks. Thanks for everything you guys did. Amazing shows. I mean, attendees couldn't stop talking about both your places. And it's not easy to pull off in the off season. I don't know how you guys do it because getting the actors in there and being on a tour, you're generally not going to get the kind of people you get in the night to run your haunt. So it's tough, but they're peers, and you really want to put on a good show for them because they're judging you more than anybody. So, how did you guys pull this off?
You want the first shot, or you want me to jump in?
Well, that's Markoff.
Well, Haunting in April presents a whole host of third parties. So, is my mic on?
I can hear you, Jim.
Okay, cool. As long as somebody
Okay.
can hear me, we are good. As long as somebody can hear me, I'm happy with that. So I guess, I mean, Haunted in April is always going to be probably the hardest month to haunt in. No one's thinking Halloween. No one's thinking, horror for the most part. But we're lucky, and I think all of the different shows on this tour are lucky because all of them have a hallmark of a strong, and I mean incredibly strong core of actors and staff members and builders and teamwork. And they're all incredibly established haunted attractions, which means that we can put on our shows kind of whenever we want. So you guys, the industry, came to the East Coast finally after all these years. They came in force, which was so fantastic. And honestly, I'll speak for me at Pennhurst and our crew, and I know I can speak for our industry in the East Coast, but we've been waiting for this. This was something that we were waiting for. We wanted this opportunity to show, the passion that us in this area, in the Southeast PA, Maryland, Jersey, Tri-State, Mid-Atlantic, East Coast area brings to the table, and just to be able to show off.
And we appreciate it. You guys literally knocked it out of the park. I mean, the atmosphere at Pennhurst is literally crazy. I went there and toured it. When I came to Philly to actually look at the center and stuff, I was a little concerned because the center's it's older. It's they're doing some remodeling and things like that. But when you get inside, it's great. When you look at it from the outside, it's not aesthetically pleasing. So you're kind of like, what is this? It's like a warehouse. But there's 250,000 square feet in there, so there is space. But one of the things that excited me was being able, when I came to Pennhurst and seeing it, Matt gave me a tour. I was like, wow, this is crazy the way this place looks. I mean, there's just so many opportunities there, and we appreciate that you guys took the time and were able to open for us and put on a great show because, we get a lot of credit for it. We have no clue how to do that stuff. It's amazing that you can pull it off in the off season, like you say, and that your actors are that excited to want to be able to come out there and perform in mid-April.
Yeah, for me personally, I remember when the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center was not the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center. I remember when it was warehouses, so I go back a while in this area. And it has come together over the years. It's a great venue, but its proximity to us. I mean, how lucky are we at Pennhurst that our haunt is a 15-minute drive away from this Expo Center? Like, that is a big deal for us. And for our crew, it became very personal to us that we put on just the best show that we possibly could. Our actors rose to the occasion. Our build crew and our tech crew was just on point. Everything was tuned and ready. And then, I mean, to just give you an idea, we had over 500 attendees to this, and we served a solid dinner to everybody, and everybody seemed to enjoy it. And I mean, that was one of the owners, Matt. He spearheaded that entire meal for you guys. That wasn't some catering company. That was our work and sweat that went into that, and his work and sweat that went into that. The other thing I wanted to touch on was how cool it was to see the amount of collaboration happening during these tours, and even during the expo itself, where these makeup artists were coming from this haunt to that haunt, and this guest actor was here and that guest actor was there. Our full crew showed up, but we had people from all over the region that jumped in and helped out for the night just to put on that great show, and more importantly, just to be involved. And that level of camaraderie was so refreshing, because I'm an industry fan. I believe the whole industry rises together. You know what I mean? And that we can have friendly competition, but at the end of the day, your success is going to be our success. So we all need to be kind of circular with that. And that's what I saw this entire week leading up, and this entire weekend, this expo. I saw that kind of camaraderie and support of the industry, which was just fantastic. It was great.
Yeah, we agree. I agree. And Nicole, you have a haunt, that's in New York, and you understand, like, you're a little further. So, like, why did you decide to want to come, and be part of this pit? So
I'm sorry, I missed part of the question. There's some background noise.
So you being so far away, like, you're a haunt as well. Your haunt was in the pit, and like these guys are on the tour. you know, you can speak of some of what Jim said, like the camaraderie and people just wanting to be part of it, you know, and why you're there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we brought over 40 of our crew that were all like the little haunt babies running around the whole time. But it's because it's important for them to also make the connections. And then in addition, you know, for us, we regularly see folks from a 4 to 5 hour radius, right? So anybody that was in the area that likes Halloween or loves being part of something like this, you know, they were coming up and asking all sorts of questions and being able to, you know, really kind of just interact in a way that we've never seen before. In addition, it's a really great resource for our crew to see others like them from the area getting, you know, working through things or getting out of their shell and you know, really interacting. Like Garrett said earlier, it was very much like a masterclass in a lot of ways. And there was just so many benefits from being part of it. One of which being winning second place for the Haunt Olympics, you know, so.
Yeah. And so, you know, I mean, it's hard to explain it unless you were there, but you guys like opening are a big part of this whole thing. You know, we have the show and these tours are so important. So Dan, and I want to talk a little bit about Markoff. So we received a text from the owners just, I don't know, I think it was today. Jenna got it, and it was, you know, and basically you guys originally had no interest in opening. You didn't want to do it. You thought it would be too much to try to pull it off. And from what I understood, a lot of the employees pushed at it and said, we can do this. You know, we want to do it. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about how that went down. And I can tell you, I mean, from what I understand, like a 3.5, 4 hour ride from the venue, correct me if I'm wrong, but when people got there,
No, that's
they
right.
were like, wow, they didn't even think about the ride. So go ahead about that.
Yeah. I'm going to say we were very far away, but we appreciate everybody coming down from Philadelphia to come check out Markoff's. It is a lot. The outdoor attraction, fully outdoors. It means that it takes a lot to get that thing going. And so really, typically we can only operate during October. Folks ask us all the time, hey, are you going to do a halfway to Halloween, or are you going to do Valentine's? It's just not in our cards because of where we are and what we do. So it was a big deal. We brought folks in from all over the country. Our crew from down in North Carolina, Adam and Raina, they came up. We brought everybody in to try to get the woods up and going. I mean, we had a whole airplane we had to install before you guys came out, so we had to make sure that was up. So it took a lot, but it was worth it. It was worth it to be able to show this off to everybody. This is our 32nd year doing this. We've been in the game for a long time, but we are that hidden gem within the haunt community where people really didn't know about us outside the Mid-Atlantic area. And so we're happy that now word is spreading far and wide about Markoff's Haunted Forest.
I'll be honest. I mean, like first thing I want to say is how lucky were we to have good weather? I mean, you're outdoors, anything went wrong. It could have been a disaster, you know, doing it. And I could understand why Nick probably didn't want to do it, you know, because you just never know. And it's one night, one day, and it's the pre-tour. So, you know, we didn't get the numbers that we got for the, you know, the local tour. And that's going to happen because of how far the rides are and things like that. But the people that missed that, I'm telling you, like, if you got the time to get out there, it is a place you want to go see.
He missed the haunt tour because he had to build a booth. I got to go on a haunt tour because I didn't have to build a booth. But literally, I got back that night and it was 3 a.m. and me and Tater woke him up so we could tell him about Markoff's and Laurel and everything. And but like one of the things I said, I was like, it's like I'm gonna figure out how during season we can get up there because I'm like I've never walked through a haunted Viking scene or like walked like on a like how you guys do the Viking boat, and I'm like, you just have to see it, or like how seamless the transitions were, and you know, and everything. And I was like, you just have to go. Like I can't explain, and it's 3 a.m. in the morning, so I can't explain, but you gotta see it. And it was
you're right. There's too many scenes out there, and it is something that just needs to be seen and felt and experienced. And you need to plan on spending time there.
Yeah.
A lot of folks,
Yeah, when she
they
came
come out and they plan on doing a couple different haunts in one night. And we say, no, you got to do Markoffs for 3 to 4 hours at least, because you want to be able to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she came in the middle and woke me up, I was kind of like, what? Did I have a dream about a Viking ship? What? What are you talking about? And I asked her again the next day, and she told me the story all over again. And she's like, we will be getting up there to see you guys. So I'm really excited. I'm really sad I missed it, but really excited to come see it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you it's not often that I'm able. Well, I drove all the way home. We drove and we talked the entire time about the tour, and everybody was just so happy. And like, it was like having my own children in the car, and they were just going on and on and on about every last detail. So it was very cool. Very, very cool. It was a great day, and it was a great way to end that awesome day between Legends of the Fog, Laurel,
and we
guys,
weren't able to have all
it
the
was
haunts on, just for time constraints. But like Laurel's, everybody did amazing. Eastern State, I wish we could have gotten more people to be able to go there. They were limited on people being able to go through. So next year we will be visiting them again with a much bigger tour. Jim, on behalf of TransWorld and everybody that works with us, thanks for everything you guys did. And Dan, same thing. You guys are two completely different styles of haunts, and that's what we love about this industry, is that it's not like a copycat type of thing. You're doing something completely different, and people enjoyed them both. They loved it, and that's what's cool about the industry.
I will say,
and I want to give a special shout out to David really quick. You guys had your work cut out for you. I was made aware of a situation that you guys literally had to rebuild something with 0 time. So I don't know if you're comfortable sharing that, but I think it's an amazing feat that you guys pulled off just for the TransWorld crew.
We kind of jinxed ourselves a little bit, because a week out and we were feeling pretty good about where we're, and things were moving along smoothly. And our center DJ booth caught on fire. Something happened up in the roof, and the whole top burned. Standing there with a garden hose, Rich and myself doing our best. We're both firefighters back in the day, and we're doing our best to try to knock this thing down. But 911 had to be called. They came out. It took out our lighting, all the strands that come off the top. It's all controlled there at the DJ booth. And so with a week to go, we had to rebuild that DJ booth, redo the audio, redo the lighting, something that was special ordered, all the DMXable individually addressed LED lights. We had to scramble and try to make it work. And Nick Markoff is the man. The dude is crazy with how he builds and how his mind works and what he can create so quick. But there was a new top on that building in no time. Literally 2 days after it happened, it was standing once again, and we were able to have it ready to go to share with all y'all.
Yeah.
Wow.
That pretty much describes the haunt industry, like in itself. Like, it's people go the extra mile no matter what to make it great and perfect. That's what we see anytime we have tours and we come to these places. Every one of these haunts the best show that they can provide. You guys both did that this year along with everybody else.
Sorry, I know.
Caitlin, all your dogs are very
camera
excited about the
somewhere
show.
in my cat.
That was totally me. I'm sorry. That was 100% my house. I am so sorry I upset your dog. Your dogs are about to upset my dogs, though. So.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, this has been an amazing show all the way around. We have, I can't thank everybody enough. And I know that both Jen, Rich, Stephanie, Anne Marie, Claire, everybody that's worked so hard on this show, you guys have worked just as hard. And from myself, from Chris, from Robert, from everybody at TransWorld Live, thank you guys for making time to speak with us tonight. But more importantly, thank you for making such a difference in the very first ECHC.
Yes, and we look forward to working with all of you into the future. There's big things coming, and we appreciate it, and I'm sure we're going to be back at those haunts again.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You guys, is there anything else you want to share with the folks at home before we see you very soon, either at MHC or at Legendary or at TransWorld or again at ECHC?
I will definitely say Jim Pennhurst was like my childhood like dream came true. I grew up in Pennsylvania, and like knowing the stories of Pennhurst, being able to go to it was amazing.
Awesome.
It was like I was like a little kid, like walking like giddy, like I used to watch the TV shows and the paranormal stuff on this, so that was very cool. So thank you for opening and sharing.
It was our team's absolute pleasure to open up, especially for this show to help support it. It was just an absolute honor, and I'm so excited for next year.
We appreciate it. And when you step on that property, I mean, if you haven't been there, it's just stepping on it is just an experience. It's crazy when you get there. It's spooky, and there's a lot of history.
Big. It's very big. People don't realize how big the place is.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and if anyone on this show question about vending, just send Rich the email and just do it. Take the risk.
Yeah, seriously, if you're not at next year's show, you're missing out. You missed out this year. Don't miss out next year.
Agreed. Thank you, guys. Thanks for everything.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
all right, guys.
All right. Good night.
Good night. And we're going to be right back here next Tuesday. This time we are jumping in feet forward for Midwest Haunters Convention. So, guys, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you on Tuesday of next week.
Yes.